Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's CSCB Coffee Hour. It's great to see you all here. Really excited for today's presentation. We have a whole host of hosts today for our coffee hour. We have folks from the Colorado Conservation District's Employees Association joining us today to share information about their 2023 leadership program, what to expect from that program, how to apply. And then I think we have some testimonials of folks sharing what last year's program was, what they took away from it. So all kinds of good stuff for Colorado Conservation District employees. If you have any questions during the coffee hour, please feel free to drop those in the chat. And we could get to those as we go along, but we'll also have time for a Q&A and a little bit of a discussion at the end. And so without further ado, I will go ahead and turn it over to the CCDEA folks.
I think I'm starting it out. My name is Emily Schwaller. I think it's hard to talk about the CCDEA, Colorado Conservation Districts Employee Association, without thanking Gretchen Rink and Vanessa McCracken. They were kind of the sole board members for, I think, several years at least. Then at our last CACD meeting in November, we had a bunch of people step up and we have a whole new full board now. So this year, your board is, our president is Tanya Fell. She is the district manager for Yuma County Conservation District. Our vice president is Matt Marshall. He's the district forester for Larimer Conservation District. I am our secretary, Emily Schwaller. I'm the district manager for the Book Cliff, Mount Sopris, and Southside Conservation Districts. Our treasurer is Garrett Stevens. He's the director for the Jefferson Conservation District. And we have 3 members at large: Mariah Hudson, district manager, El Paso Conservation District; Gretchen Runing, executive director, Larimer Conservation District; and Ben Markle, conservation forester, Longmont and Boulder Valley Conservation Districts. We are all kind of starting to maybe get some things going and continue what Vanessa and Gretchen had set up for us. We are now officially established as a nonprofit and working on getting a new bank account together. Then we will collect annual dues. That's $20 per employee annually. We're working on a website. Hopefully we'll get that up and running soon. Well, there's kind of Tanya is getting a mentorship program going. I think she'll talk more on that. And then our leadership program that Stephanie Scott is going to jump in and talk about.
Okay, the mentorship program is something that happened when I was at the last Colorado State Conservation Board meeting. There was a struggling conservation district that has been inactive for several years, and they're working really hard to try and bring their conservation district back. And there's a lot of struggles of not understanding and doing a lot of the specific things that we do for DOLA, or the banking paperwork that we do. Or yesterday, I actually received a question from them saying, oh my gosh, how do we change our conservation district name for our EIN? Well, so it's just a matter of having a person who's already been through this, done this. Not that I've done that, but we were able to find the information to help her with that. But also for new district managers who have kind of stepped in, I know in talking to a lot of district managers that you kind of get the ball handed to you, like, here you go, here's your computer, and you can read your files and it'll be really good. And so I think, this mentorship program, the one that I'm helping with right now, is a little more encompassed, but for new district managers that just need someone to reach out to say, oh my gosh, I do not know how to do QuickBooks. Could you please help me do this really quickly? Or some question, I cannot get my supervisor list uploaded to DOLA. I do not understand. Or I actually called Kayla when I was trying to do it because I could not get logged into the DOLA site. And lo and behold, it was as simple as, oh, you can't use that browser. You have to go to a different browser to make it work. But just those things that other district managers may have already experienced that we can help with new people. So we're excited. We're going to be launching this soon. Or if you are a new district manager now and need some help, reach out to us on our, there will be our email a little bit later. and we can get you paired up with someone that's kind of close to you so you can start having a helper too, because I think that it means a lot to have someone be able to reach out and help when you have those crazy questions. So do you guys have anything to add about the mentorship program? I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Alrighty, Emily, do you have more? Oh, nope, now it's
Maybe
going
not.
to be
Good old
Stephanie.
Stephanie's turn.
So Stephanie is with Scott Solutions, and she is a consultant that we have who helps us with our leadership program that we're going to be offering. She did the leadership program last year, and so she's going to share the details to get us all excited about participating this year. So Stephanie, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. And thanks, CCDEA. It has been really inspiring to see the growth in the organization just in the last almost like year and a half, 2 years that I've been working with CCDEA. Lots of exciting stuff. And really, it's a response to working in the trenches in conservation districts, knowing where there's gaps, and all you passionate people really wanting to make a difference. So I'm inspired to be a part of this. Thanks so much for having me and for the continued support of the leadership program. My role here today is to share the leadership program with all of you, let you know what it is. So these are the things I will be sharing. So I'll talk a little bit about what is the leadership program, the goals, the outcomes, what we have planned for the 2023/2024 year of the program, what the commitment looks like, what the expectations of the program are. We'll talk about, of course, tuition, cost, all the, like everything associated, your time commitment, what all of that looks like, so you can wrap your head around what being a participant in this year's program would look like. We'll talk about the application process. And then we'll have an interest form. So if you're interested in getting on the list to receive notifications, we'll have that for you today to fill out so you can make sure you're in the loop. And then we'll have questions. So that's what we're going to go over here. Let's jump in. And then, of course, yes, Tanya is going to be monitoring the chat for us. And so if you have questions along the way, feel free to chat them. If you want to interrupt me, please interrupt me. I'm not offended. I would like the interaction. So please go ahead. However you want to ask questions, we are open to that. So Tanya mentioned, I'm Stephanie Scott. I'm a leadership consultant and coach. A little bit about my background and why I get the privilege to be the facilitator for this program. I started my career not wanting to work with people at all. I only really wanted to work with wildlife and be in the field doing work. And I had a very successful run at that. I spent almost 20 years working in wildlife conservation on the ground, riparian, all things conservation. I worked for National Trout Unlimited, National Audubon Society, game capture, zookeeper, so all these things that I thought was my dream. And while I loved that, I slowly started getting really frustrated with the impact I felt I was having. And I didn't wake up one day, but I kind of got to this idea that really people were the problem, right? And therefore people could be the solution. And so I was accepted into a leadership program back in 2014. And as soon as I got a taste of what leadership could do for careers, and specifically for me, for impacting the wild places that I cared about, I was hooked. So I started doing all the schooling and certifications and all the stuff that I could to become a leadership consultant specifically for the natural resource world. And so that's what I do today. I have my own consulting business. My niche is natural resources. So anyone working in water, land, wildfires, really anything around natural resources, I am a consultant for. And while the leadership competencies that I teach aren't specific to natural resources, I'm able to lend that lens to all the competencies so that they fit natural resource professionals better. So I run water leadership programs here in Colorado and in Texas. I've run fellowship programs for young farmers looking to get on water decision-making boards and bodies here through the National Young Farmers Coalition in Colorado and New Mexico. This is the second year we're doing this leadership program. We'll talk more about that in a minute. I work with individuals all across Colorado. I'm currently coaching over 60 people. And I work with one-on-one with organizations to do organizational health type work to really help organizations be the best versions of themselves. And therefore, for me, selfishly, make a better impact on the work that they're doing. So that's my role in natural resource conservation. I really am now tending towards the people side of it, which is ironic because I never thought I would be here in the first place, but here I am and I'm loving it. So with that, let's talk about what the program is. So the Colorado Conservation District Leadership Program, the intended audience is for you all, for Conservation District employees specifically. With that said, last year we had other people. So we had people from CSCB. We had a conservation district from Wyoming that was so jazzed about it that she wanted to participate. And so it's conservation district-esque, but specifically it's geared towards employees. And the reason that the program was started was because there's a huge sense that conservation districts in Colorado are really there's untapped potential here, right? There's so much that conservation districts could be doing. We see samples of how effective and how big of an impact conservation districts are making in other parts of the country. And so with the eye that conservation districts have so much employee turnover, right? The retention is really hard. There's not a lot of resources. Everything is really confusing, right? Tanya was talking about just little things of just the learning curve to get into a conservation district. There's not a ton there for people to really grasp and to get a hold of and really sink in and get motivated to continue to do work and really make an impact like conservation districts could. So we created this program, and the goal is to provide quality professional development opportunities to make conservation districts more effective. So that's what we're doing here. That's the overall goal that we would like to see happen. The objectives that we have are empowerment, engagement, and relationships. And how do we do this? So we provide skills and training for conservation districts to bring that new level of professionalism, right? We take ourselves seriously, so therefore other people will take us seriously as well. So we're establishing that professionalism across Colorado. We want to empower conservation district employees to define their own leadership style. So understand what makes you, right? Step into that greatness and lead your conservation district from whatever position you're at, whether it's entry level, you've been there for 2 weeks, or to director, you've been there 15 years, right? Whatever position you're at, you have an impact that you can make. And so we're empowering you to step into that and lead with confidence. We want to energize and engage district employees and boards. So with that, board members are also welcome to participate in the program. But really we want to ensure, like, what do you actually like about this job? And let's figure out how to do more of that. There is a class project that last year's class did. This year, the class will get to define their own class project. So that will look like identifying a gap that exists within conservation districts, and how as a class can you come together to create something that's going to benefit all conservation districts across Colorado. Reduce that turnover. I talked about that a little bit. That's one of the goals or the objectives of this. And to increase the conservation district network, right? Create more collaboration. We are all really like sort of knee-jerk reaction is to reinvent the wheel on a lot of things because we feel isolated a lot of times. And so building this network, collaborating, sharing resources is also another objective to help that empowerment engagement. And then of course to build those relationships throughout conservation districts. All right, so what to expect from this program this year, some of the benefits that you will receive. We do quite a bit of assessment here. There's a big attention to the self-awareness. So again, I mentioned how are you showing up and what is the impact you personally can make. In order to do that, we have to have some understanding of what that is about ourselves. So we do many assessments, Myers-Briggs, strengths deployment inventory. We look at EQ, emotional intelligence, and we have an assessment around that on how the skills and behaviors that you have at work are, how they're showing up and how you can grow those. And then we also do a 360 feedback assessment where you ask the people around you, how are you showing up and what are ways you're doing really good and what are ways that you can improve. I am a certified coach. I have many different coaching certifications. One of them is a certified group coach. So we have small groups. So within the larger class, they'll be broken down into smaller groups, and we'll do small group coaching throughout the program. You'll have 5 of those sessions. Those will all be virtual. And then also on top of the group coaching, we're going to break it down even more to one-on-one. So we have big whole class learning, we have our small group coaching, and then we have one-on-one coaching throughout the program as well, where you really get to personalize the program to you. What are your needs? What are your interests? How are we moving the needle on where you are really wanting to grow? You'll get 4 coaching sessions with me throughout the program as well. And then we talked about the class project a little bit. That class project will also be a benefit of the program. So in addition to those larger components, oh, well, I'll come back to that. Sorry, the slides are out of order, I thought. Here are the dates and locations. So this is what we're looking at for this next year. Last year when we did the program, we only ran it for about an 8-month duration. Everyone felt that was too short, and we thought that there could be a lot of synergy in doing the program for an entire year this year. Also, that the bookend, sort of the beginning and the end, would be in conjunction with the CSCB and CCDEA annual meeting every year. And so the kickoff will be at the meeting, and then the last session will also be at that meeting. At next year's meeting, we'll also be kicking off the next class. And so we'll have that overlap with the 2 classes every year, where we can sort of learn from each other, get some excitement, and sort of pass the torch to the next class. These are the dates that we have selected for this year's class. All of these will be in person, and there'll be 2-day sessions. So we would plan, everyone kind of comes in the night before the first session, stay the night in between, and we have our last day, and then you would go home that day. So that's sort of the cadence of this. We have intentionally created some space during the really busy field season for conservation districts here. So that was another one of the reasons why we're spacing it out a little bit longer. So hopefully everything that you're juggling on a daily basis, we're trying to help the leadership program work into that instead of work against really what some of those heavy seasons are for all of us. So this is where we're at. The last session, of course, we don't know that date yet, but it'll be next fall sometime. And so as soon as we would know that date, we will let you know, of course. All sessions are mandatory. So we wanted to put these sessions out here for you to know that, yes, I can commit to the entire program before you apply, because if you can't, unfortunately, it's probably a deal breaker. But if you do have a conflict, let us know. We can maybe talk through that. So here's the other slide I thought was coming next. So the other competencies and the overarching themes that we'll learn from the program. Relationships and emotional intelligence. So understanding that connection between leadership in the workplace, strong relationships, and your emotional intelligence. Leading with that authentic leadership. I talked about that a little bit already, but really understanding, defining, and owning your own leadership style for yourself, and then understanding that in others so that you can work together better. We're going to shift your perspective a bit on conflict so that you can learn how to have healthy and effective conflicts by understanding how you show up and how others show up during conflict, so you can manage those more effectively and work to not avoid them. Effective communication, learn how to lead through strong communication and awareness. Building effective teams. So we'll talk about the different elements of a healthy team, how to recognize where maybe some of those different elements are falling short, and how you can grow and build functional teams through understanding what's needed to create and keep those cohesive teams. We'll talk a bit about, we're going to bring in your personal development into this. And so while this is a professional development program, we are going to bring in your personal development, because you can't really have one without the other. It's sort of not good practice to try to separate work and life, but we're going to really learn how we're integrating work life so that you can create more intention and fulfillment in all areas, right? And so we're going to work on that. And then there is some flexibility in the curriculum to bring in conservation district specific trainings. So things that the class has noted through your applications and through our talking as a class. What are the skills that you want to be learning? What are the gaps? Is it financial fiscal management? Is it, grants? Is it education and outreach? What is it, right? And so We do have some placeholders to bring in either experts from the field that are really doing this well, to learn from people, learn from others, bring in different topics and trainings that would be very specific to the cohort that's selected to be in this year's class. So there is room for that, and we would get to customize the program year after year based off of the ever-evolving world of conservation districts and what is most important in the moment. So we have the overarching themes with leadership competencies, as well as what's most relevant for conservation districts, and that's how we build our curriculum year after year. The expectations, so I mentioned 100% commitment to the program. That's both the sessions and the homework. I'll talk about homework in a minute. Show up with your whole self and prioritize the program, right? This is a unique opportunity for you to kind of push the pause button on the chaos that is life for a minute and really work on developing yourself as an individual, but also as a leader. And so prioritizing the program is going to be really, really important for you to do that most effectively. Committing to all the coaching sessions outside of the program date. So I talked about those. Over the year, there's going to be 5 small group coaching sessions and 4 one-on-one coaching sessions with me. You'll have to contribute to the class project, commit to a safe space, which includes being open and vulnerable, but most importantly, confidential. I know you all work in the same space with the same people, probably more often than not. And so to show up wholly, we need to be talking about really what's going on. But to do that, we really need to honor confidentiality so that we can create a safe space and actually work towards bettering conservation districts together and not bringing each other down. So that confidentiality is going to be really important. Current dues paying member of CCDEA. So again, that $20 would be awesome if your district was a dues paying member. This next one is this idea of succession, right? So a lot of the new board members that were empowered to be on the CCDEA board were members of the program last year. And the idea is that you are committing to 1 year of the program this year. And then the year after, you're committing to keeping the wealth going, and whatever that means, right? You don't have to be on the CCDEA board, but are you helping with the leadership program next year? Are you helping maybe with the mentorship program that Tanya was talking about? Can you give a webinar and share your knowledge of forestry or whatever it might be to conservation districts? And so we really just want to set the tone that just because the program's done doesn't mean that you get to like take a break. It means that now you're empowered to share your wealth and knowledge with those around you. And on that same sort of sharing the wealth theme, we want you to bring some of this knowledge back to your own board and or staff. And so whatever that looks like, again, you get to decide what that looks like. But if you're just bringing the conversations back and sharing what you're learning with your team, that's awesome. If you actually have a training with your team, even better, right? But we want it to kind of cause a ripple effect within the conservation district community so that not only are you benefiting, but the districts that are also supporting you to be here and investing in you are also getting a little bit of the knowledge and the lessons that you're learning. With that also, if you are accepted into the program and you commit and pay and all that stuff, if you have to drop out for some reason, unfortunately, there's no substitutions, no transfers for like, you know, swapping people in the district like halfway through, no refunds, that type of thing. So just setting that expectation. So what does the time commitment look like? So we mentioned it's a year-long program. Within that, there are the 5 in-person sessions. You can expect about 3 to 5 hours of homework before each of those sessions. So just kind of getting ready, and that's reading articles, doing assessments, doing some reflection work that'll all be guided. So you can expect about 3 to 5 hours of homework before each of the sessions. We'll have those group coaching sessions, which will be 75 minutes, 5 of those a year, and those will be spaced out in between each of the in-person sessions. And then there'll be one following graduation, so you guys can continue that cohesion even after you graduate. The coaching sessions, again, those are virtual, just on the phone. Those will also be spread out between each of the sessions. And then the group project, of course, that varies depending on your involvement and what the project is, but you can also anticipate 10 to 20 hours of work throughout the year contributing to that class project as well. So what is the program value? So The whole program costs $3,770. This includes all the program materials and resources, those 10 highly interactive training days, one-on-one support from me as your facilitator, the group coaching session, the individual coaching, all the assessments, all of the meals. So sorry, my screen was a little cut off. All of the meals during the assessment. So we'll have the breakfast for the 2 days, as well as lunch, and then the dinner will be incorporated. And then we're also creating a Google Drive, which is going to be the central hub for the program that will live on beyond. So all of the resources are going to be there, everything, like all the contact lists, everything, but this is going to be sort of a repository for everyone to share resources and continue to, again, build that network and add different stuff as you guys continue to grow on in your conservation careers. So other considerations, what is not included is any travel or hotel stays. And so, of course, mileage to and from the location is going to vary based off of where you live. But now you know our locations. So we're going to be meeting in Fort Collins, in Redstone, Colorado, in Salida, and then in Colorado Springs. The fifth one, we're not sure yet based off of where that annual meeting is going to be. And then plan for, again, if you live in those places, you don't have to stay at the hotel, but it is recommended because there's a lot of networking that happens sort of in the unstructured times during night times and all that stuff. But plan for the night before each session starts staying, and then the night in between each session, unless you can drive there that morning type of thing. But we would recommend budgeting about $170 per night with the hotel rates now. We're trying to get them lower. I know Redstone is only $150, but better to budget on the higher end than not if you're seeking approval from your boards. We have secured funding for scholarships, and we are actively trying to secure funding for more scholarships. So within the application, there's going to be a scholarship section that is asking you, what is your need for a scholarship? How much do you want? Like, what is this going to be covering type of thing? So we don't want finances to be a barrier to participating in the program. So on the application, there is a spot to let us know what your need is, and know that we are actively trying to secure more funding to try to accommodate everyone to be able to participate. With that, of course, scholarships are not guaranteed, but we will notify you if you get accepted into the program. At that same time, we will let you know if you've also been awarded a scholarship. So by accepting your seat into the program, you will know the financial commitment that you and or your board or whoever is paying for it will be committing to before you say yes to the program. All right, so I am going to stop talking now. I'm going to talk a little bit about our program from last year, and we're going to hear from some of our alumni. So last year was our first year we did the program. We started off small, but very, very mighty. We had 8 people complete the full program and graduate from the program. You'll see those beautiful faces here. We have, it was, they took a chance on something that Gretchen Rank and I had masterminded, put together. And I would love to say that it was life-changing, but I'll let them talk to you about what the impact really was for them. If you have any additional questions, we do have evaluations that we keep extensive track of how people are doing and tracking a lot of the data and the growth. I will say that in all of the objectives that we talked about that we wanted for the program, we saw growth in all areas, except one area was stagnant. We're still working on that empowering the board piece of bringing it back to the conservation districts. But in all other areas, flying colors, there was growth in every area for all of our participants. And so with that, I'll stop talking. Gretchen, Ben, do you have preference on who goes first? No? Gretchen?
I can just hop in for
Okay, awesome. Well, Gretchen is going to start. She's executive director of Larimer Conservation District. When she participated in the program, she had a different title though. So maybe she'll share a little bit about that growth. So Gretchen, go ahead.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think, everyone Stephanie in particular, you did an amazing job kind of describing the program. And, you know, just to add a little bit more, just to kind of share some of my highlights, I guess, from the program is what I wanted to do today, and just relay that this program gives me the warm fuzzies, which is what kind of inspired me to join the CCDEA board, and kind of help build this program into the future and make it more of like a self-sustaining program that we just do every year. I think it was immensely valuable for everybody that was signed up last year. And just to give a quick shout out to Abby Gray and Raquel, if Raquel's still on. Yeah, it looks like Raquel's still on. These two were in the program too. So if they have anything to share, I think that would be valuable too. And it was cool to loop in some CDA folks as well to the program. So I was just going to say, you know, I think Stephanie did a great job of kind of explaining some of the goals behind this, but what really stood out to me is that I had a better understanding just kind of myself, which is a funny thing to say. But truly that was the biggest takeaway for me, is understanding what my leadership style was. You know, when we first started the program, I could not answer that question for myself in the slightest, because I think a lot of us had kind of a different idea of what leadership meant than what we learned in the program. So the biggest thing was I learned that it's okay to just be myself and really lean on the strengths that I naturally have, and that there's no need for me to chameleon into someone else that I am not. So just kind of leaning into the strengths that I do have and looking at opportunities for growth for myself, learning what my own leadership style is and how I can use that, but also lean on my team to accomplish our goals at the same time was huge. So yeah, I think, you know, just learning how to communicate better with everybody and to be a better teammate for everybody that I work with, both on our staff, on our board, and then with our partners that we work with across our watersheds. So yeah, this program really helped me kind of gain some clarity and cut through the noise of what was going on in my head around leadership and my role at my conservation district. So just wanted to kind of touch on a few of the things that really helped me get to that place. So Stephanie had us do a couple different assessments. So the Myers-Briggs assessment was a really cool exercise that we did with the group. And it helped us kind of learn about each other a little bit better and connect on some of our differences, but also some of the things that we could see eye to eye on. And it really helped us kind of learn from other conservation districts and network by doing some of these assessments together. Also, this strengths deployment inventory, or the SDI, was a huge one. It kind of helps you identify like what your motivations are, how you deal with conflict, and then some of your strengths. And then what I really liked was that the flip side of strengths wasn't weaknesses, it's overdone strengths. So that was a really cool way of looking at things that I hadn't really looked at before. So yeah, and then, you know, I just wanted to highlight also that while this program was incredible and amazing, I think what has really benefited my conservation district, and I think a lot of the other ones that are tangentially related or directly related to the other program participants from last year, is that we were able to bring back some team building stuff for our staff and our board. We were able to do some trainings around how to better understand each other and share some common language around how we're going to work through conflict and share feedback with each other. And it's helped LCD go through a pretty big transition in kind of finding some clarity around everybody's roles and responsibilities, both on the staff and on the board side. So it kind of prompted us to do a really hard look at ourselves and figure out how we could be more effective as a team. And it really pushed us to that next level of having the tough conversations that we needed to have to get to that next level. And we're still figuring it out, but it's been a huge thing for my career at a time when I was, you know, starting to maybe falter a little bit and wondering like how long I could make it in the conservation district world, and it's kind of reinvigorated me. So yeah, I'll leave it at that and let Ben share some more, but huge shout out to Stephanie for being an amazing facilitator, and she's come and helped our board and our staff with some of those trainings and team builds too. So she's just an amazing resource in general for everybody's knowledge. So thanks, Stephanie. Ben, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, well said, Gretchen. I think you nailed it. I don't really have a whole lot to add except for maybe my own takeaways from the program. I walked into the thing having kind of my own picture of what a leader is, someone who like wags finger, points, yada, yada, yada. And it was pretty illuminating to learn that there are many different kinds of leadership styles. Like, I was at odds with myself. Like, I'm not that kind of person. Like, how could I, do I need to get over something or whatever? But no, there's just different types of people. Obviously, there's going to be different types of leadership styles. And so to kind of go through this program and find out what that really means was really valuable to me personally. Because not only are you learning like how you would manage a team or how you show up with your team, et cetera. You're also learning about yourself on a deeper level. I hadn't really considered things about like what Gretchen mentioned earlier with the strength deployment thing. I have overdone strengths. Everybody does. Some people, before you might call them weaknesses or whatever, but I'll just give it a personal example too. One thing, my overdone strength is accommodation. So, accommodation is great. Like it's helpful. It can smooth things over, but you can overdo it to where, stuff doesn't get done properly. So, just learning things like that helps you better understand who you are and how you show up both in your workplace and in your own life. And really, in general, it's just great to be in a room full of people who are focused on their personal development. So nothing wrong with that. I don't really have much else to add. I was worried about the commitment a little bit too with the time and everything. But just chatting with my manager and all that, it wasn't too big a deal. The homework wasn't too bad or anything. It was all interesting stuff, really. So, yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I want to leave plenty of time for questions, get into some nitty gritty stuff if you guys like. So, thanks everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Gretchen. Raquel, did you want to share any tidbits? I know we're kind of putting you on the spot, but since you're here.
Yeah, sure. Looking at this picture, it just made me so happy because I I had so much fun doing this program. I learned a lot about myself personally and professionally. I learned a lot about myself, or a lot about like my coworkers and the people that I work with closely. And I feel like I made a lot of friends. One thing that was really cool about working in the group was everybody was there to help each other, motivate each other, and it was kind of like having like a mirrors, right, that you're talking to and you're troubleshooting your problems with, and they're giving you feedback on how to handle difficult situations. My favorite thing beyond just meeting everybody and all the collaboration and working together was all of the assessments. I love those things. I love learning about myself, and I love learning about ways that I can improve. And there were tests that we took, and I would be the same, have all the same answers as a certain person, like Gretchen, let's say, right? Like we got the same scores on everything, and then one thing we would be totally opposite, and I would say, oh my gosh, like how could you look at a situation like that? How could we be the same in so many ways and then so different on something else? And it was just really cool to learn about how we perceive different situations and stuff. And so I just can't say enough good things about the program. I learned, like a true leaders work themselves out of a job. They want to empower you and each other, and they want to see each other grow. And so it was just a great experience, and I can't say enough good things about it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Raquel. I think Abby said everyone's kind of covered everything, but definitely want to acknowledge acknowledge that she was a part of the program as well. Did you want to add anything, or are you good?
I'll just add that what everyone is saying is very, very true. I think the biggest benefit I see that came out of our group, and I think Gretchen touched on this, is just the statewide collaboration. Like, we made this really awesome group of connections that we feel really comfortable reaching out to and bouncing ideas off of, or if we're having a tough time with something, we have a safe place to go and talk about it and try to find solutions. And I think personally that was the biggest benefit for me out of that program, was just the people and having that network statewide that I didn't have before. So
love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you all for sharing your thoughts about the program. That helps people get more excited than the bullet points that I can provide. So thank you for doing that. All right, that is kind of wrapping up where we're at. We did want to give you an opportunity. We're going to ask questions now and like talk through anything that you have. But if you want to sign up for the notification list, then you can. It is, I think we're putting it in the chat. Applications for the program just opened up in August. They are due September 15th. And so we have a short little turnaround here for you to submit your applications. Following this, if you're on the webinar, you will get an email with the link to the application and everything that you need to do to complete that. In the application, there is that spot for the scholarship request if you are wanting that. So make sure you fill that out. There's also a place for you to upload a letter of recommendation from your board or supervisor so that we know that your district is on board with you participating. And so the completed application, the scholarship application, if you want to submit that, and then also the uploaded letter would be a full application. So those are the things you would need to get in before that deadline, September 15th. Once we get all the applications in, we will notify you of your acceptance into the program by October 6th. And at that time, we would let you know if you received a scholarship or not. Yeah, put your information on this link, fill out the form. That way you'll get any notifications. If we, for example, feel like we need to extend the deadline or anything like that, we will be sending it out to this list. So make sure that if you're interested at all, you're not committing to being in the program by getting on this list, but if you're interested in receiving information, get on that list. All right. What else are you curious about? What didn't we answer? What thoughts or questions do you have now that you've heard a little bit about the program? You can just talk or chat or whatever you want.
So Stephanie, we have a question from Vanessa that says, how many spots do you need to fill for the program?
Oh, yes. We will take up to 18 people will be a full capacity of the program this year. Anything beyond that is a little too much for the intimacy that we're looking for in this program. So up to 18.
Okay, perfect. And then we have another question from White River and Douglas Creek asking if you'll include those that signed up at the CACD meeting last year on your notification list.
Yes, I believe we already have that list. I think Tanya's shaking her head. Yeah.
We do have the list and they will be messaged as well.
Good question. What else?
Other questions while we have all these folks on the line?
I have a question actually.
Yeah, Nikki. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Are you guys focusing on Colorado district employees specifically and trying to fill those spots first before branching out, or are you not branching out at all? And branching out, I mean like state people again, but also other states.
Yeah, I think
What's the focus?
We haven't firmed that up. I think the general pulse was that we are open, but we would give preference to Colorado employees. I don't know, anyone from CCDEA want to weigh in there?
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, Nikki, and it was great to open it up to to your sister last summer. That was great to have her, someone from out of state. But yeah, I think we were trying to prioritize conservation district employees in Colorado, and then kind of the next tier would be really close partners. So yeah, people from the state or potentially even like NRCS would be a potential for opening it up further, and then additional states, because I think that collaboration was such a big thing for us.
No, that's totally fine, and I agree. I fully support that approach. A couple folks were already asking, and I was like, hold on, I think they're focusing on Colorado first, but we'll keep you all posted. So it's nice that it's getting recognition elsewhere. So that just speaks to the strength of it. So yeah, sounds good.
Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would, I mean, if people are interested from outside, you can send them the application information. And if they want to fill it out and put their name into consideration, then absolutely just know that it's sort of, we're not sure. It kind of depends on the number of applicants and sort of how big we want to make the program this year. So I would say if they're interested, let's like throw them in. And if not, then I don't want to say no to anyone, because having that perspective from Wyoming, which functions so differently, was really valuable last year. Yeah. Vanessa, do you have something to share or ask?
What am I? I'm sharing and asking. Asking if the group has strategized a little bit about outreach about the program beyond today's webinar, like if it's something like Kayla would put in the scoop, or try to reach other districts who maybe aren't here now and won't be able to watch the webinar, but just kind of ways to reach out that would be effective, for other districts.
We do have a flyer that as soon as we put the new dates in that Stephanie provided today, we can get it out the door today, and then we'd love help just distributing that to email lists. So Kayla, if that's something you're willing to help with, or Abby or Nikki, that would be a huge help.
Yes, absolutely. And I think Garth had mentioned the scoop will be going out in a couple of weeks. So we'd love to include a blurb about like the leadership program, the contact email, and the link for the notification and how to sign up too. So we could absolutely do that. We'd love to.
Yeah, and I think through Abby to like district supervisors, even to get it in front of them would be a really good way as well, and really just impressing upon them the importance of it and the value of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Once we have everything, I'll be sending it out in mass to everybody. So
awesome. You guys are great.
Does anyone have any other ideas as far as outreach or marketing that we should be aware of to make sure we're hitting?
One of the things that I think, I follow a lot of the different conservation districts just to see what they're doing. So I think that, as a conservation district, we can share, because I know that other conservation districts see. I know Vanessa likes my comments, and I see that you guys are, so definitely, I think we all kind of follow each other too. So sharing to social media is a big step as well. So, any means that you can is a positive step. The more we put it out there, the more people that are going to see it. So.
Yeah. Right. Any other thoughts on marketing or outreach? Yeah, any help that anyone has, or if you know a specific, like targeted outreach is by far the best and most effective. And so if you know of someone in a conservation district, someone within yours, and again, we're not looking at just managers or leaders, anyone in any capacity working for a district will benefit and can help our aspirations of like, let's make conservation districts a thing in Colorado. Let's grow and elevate this platform. All right. Any other thoughts or questions?
There was one more question. How many scholarships do we have, and are they 50%-ish?
We don't have like we have 10 scholarships right now. We're getting a lump sum and then going to disperse that out based off of the need and merit. And so they could easily be up to 50-ish% if that's sort of the need. I think we want to help as many people as possible. We are actively securing more funds right now. And so we're hoping that within the next month, we do have a really good pot of funding so that the potential of 50%-ish per person if needed could be a possibility, but we're not quite there yet.
And the other thing is that it may also drop the cost. I mean, some of the funding that we're looking at too may drop the actual training cost for everybody as well. So, I mean, it just takes time when you're working to get grant funding, and we've certainly reached out to lots of sources. Abby helped us with some funding. I mean, we've had a lot of people helping us get some leads for funding. We just don't have all the answers yet. So stay tuned, but hopefully there's going to be more.
Yes. Yes. And again, applications are currently open. The application deadline is September 15th. And within the application, there is the request for the scholarship. So by September 15th, if you're interested in applying, you'd be filling out the Google form, which is the application. And it's pretty detailed, so take your time with it. And then also that letter of recommendation or letter of support from your board or supervisor to acknowledge that they're supporting your time and or fiscally supporting you if they are to participate in the program. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Oh, more chats coming in. Oh.
Yeah, someone wanted to repost the link, so I just reposted it a second time. So the link is now in the chat. So if you want to grab it, there it is.
Perfect. Yeah, and again, so this is, Tanya, this is the link for the notification form, not the actual application. But there's two different ones. So I just want to clarify, make sure we're all on the same.
Yep. Sorry, just a second. I'll grab it.
Cool. So the link in here is the form for all the notifications. So you definitely want to get on that. Yes, if we get one of these grants that we've applied for that's come through that's going to lower tuition for everybody, we will notify you immediately. And that would be the list that you want to be on. If we're extending the deadline, we'll notify this list. And so make sure you're at least on it if you're curious at all. And then I think Tanya is going to send you the link for the actual application so you can review that. And then the application link will also be sent in the follow-up notes from this, from Kayla, as well as this recording and other important notables that are important for you to keep in mind as you're considering the program.
Okay, and while Tanya's still looking for that link, last call for kind of questions. I know we're drawing kind of near to the hour. So any last questions while we have all these folks with us?
Yep. And then, of course, this slide in here, here's the email for CCDEA if you have any follow-up questions and want to reach out directly. The CCDEA2020@gmail.com is the official email. Cool.
And just to plug, before we end the meeting, we do have another coffee hour scheduled for next week. So next Wednesday, August 9th at 9 a.m., we'll be joined by Dan Bean, who is the program manager for the Palisade Insectary. And we'll be discussing plant pests, biological control, projects that they have going on, and programs available through the Insectary. So definitely a good one to tune in for that as well. And let's see, any luck, Tanya?
No. Can you just send it out to everyone that was here?
Yes, we could absolutely do that. No worries. So with that, we will go ahead and wrap up for the day. So thanks, everyone. We appreciate your time. This was great. I'm super excited for the leadership program and everything in 2023, 2024. So thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day.